Welcome to Guttural Frequency, our very first episode.
Yeah.
Not counting our episode 0, which is probably available to download at this time as well.
Excellent.
So that'll be a little get to know us type of podcast.
Yeah.
If that's
The pilot.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know what we're like and how we are just in general, listen to that.
Yeah.
So we've got a few stories for you today. Got a couple actual encounters that have been told to us.
Yeah.
One as recently as last night, actually, which is kind of
just pretty cool.
kind of funny. I managed to stumble upon that, so it's kind of neat.
Very cool. Yeah.
Also, a couple of things pertaining to some local haunts and a few video games and movies.
Yeah. This is going to be predominantly ghost.
Yeah. This will be one of the
Ghost
many ghost episodes. So, since it's such a wide, huge theme,
say on the topic.
Yeah, we couldn't really just be like, all right, this is going to be about all the ghosts,
and then never again.
Yeah. So this will probably be like an ongoing topic that we come up with. So this will be like, ghosts number 1, and
yeah, then we'll revisit it, I guess.
Yeah.
Whenever we get enough to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any stories as well that you'd like to share, ghosts or anything like that, feel free to drop us a message on our Facebook group, which will be
coming up pretty soon after, I guess.
It'll probably be
recording.
Yeah, we'll probably actually make it after we're done recording this. So
yeah.
Ignore us.
All ready to go. Yeah. And the thing that's already there.
Yeah. So that'll be Guttural Frequency on Facebook. Drop us a message on there. And we'd love to hear your stories.
Absolutely, yeah. The more the better. More the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Did you want to start off with one of your stories, or should I jump in?
Sure. Okay. Cool. Well, the first one, sure, I'll make it one of the anon ones that I got.
Yeah.
But there's a guy I know told me a couple of stories yesterday that actually sounded really, really cool. When he was in high school, he was in theater, and he was part of the stage crew guys. And in the there was a storage area where they had lots of set pieces and old costumes and all this kind of stuff. And anytime that you'd go in there, any one of the guys who were on the stage crew with him said that you'd always feel really, really weird going in there. It would feel really there was always someone else in there with you. So there was one time he went in, I think he said it was after school, and he went in there, and he was by himself, and he was reaching for something, and beside him he saw a shadow standing right next to him, and and he was trying really hard not to look at it, but it leaned in because it was come on, look at me, and they're oh yeah, it sounded really creepy. And he said he said he swore he saw it smiling out of the corner of his eye, which is effed up.
Yeah, it's a couple levels of uncomfortable there.
Yeah. And then another one that he told me that I thought was also really cool was again in the theater, in the actual auditorium of his school. The stage crew guys were working on something, I think it was, and he said that you'd look out and you could see guys in the audience, the lights on the stage were all on, so you could sort of not really see the audience very well.
Yeah, it kind of blinds you.
Yeah, but there was no one else there. But you'd look out and there was shapes sitting in certain seats. It's you could see white shapes occupying certain seats. And he had asked other people, I think he said there was another guy with him, and he said that they could both see these shapes in the seats at the same time. He was first he thought he was going a little crazy. And then he talked to other people, and they said that they saw them, and each time anyone ever saw them, it was always in those same seats in the auditorium.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat. So, I mean, it could have, I don't know, could have been a trick of the light or something.
Yeah.
If it's always in the same spot, it might have been just,
Well, that's another thing, too. I mean, if it's always in the same spot, though, when you're on stage, you're moving around quite a bit, right?
That's true,
so
yeah.
Wouldn't that change that angle as well?
It could, yeah, for sure.
There's a couple ways that could go, actually, but considering there's that shadow, was it the same school you said?
It's the same school, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, he told me it was only the one. So, yeah. pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those stories.
So we've actually.
You got some.
Yeah, I used to work in an elementary school actually out in Burnaby, and I can't really say anything too. I don't work there anymore, so it should be totally fine. And I'm not going to name any names of any schools, but I think if you do enough research, you can find out which one burnt down. So
not while you were working there.
No, while I was working there. I had nothing to do with this.
Not your fault.
I was actually pretty young when this happened,
okay.
And your cousin told me he went to that school while that incident happened. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of a weird thing where he got relocated or like the kids that were at that school got relocated into his school.
Yeah.
It was a little while ago. I was actually still working there when we talked about it. But this is something I told you guys, told you a while back. So just kind of a weird, unexplained thing that happened in that school. So this was actually during the most recent teacher strike that happened. It happens almost every year. Let's be serious.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's get real here.
So we were actually running a daycare service, and our portable is it's still on the school premises, but it's a separate building. And when the strike was going on, we actually had to we could use the school itself. So we were in this one little like kindergarten room for the most part, which the older kids just loved. In the most sarcastic way possible.
Yeah.
But then again, we had a lot of kids that just didn't show up because they were like, oh yeah, there's a strike, so we just won't show up. That's totally fine. That being said, there was, I think, the principal and the teachers that were on the picket lines, and that was about it. There was really nobody in the school other than us and that. So it was just kind of like the one day where the weird things were kind of happening. It was still fairly early in the morning. We started about 7, so this happened around like 8:15 or so. And actually, no, sorry, it was a bit later than that because we had our both the door closed, the outside door and the inside door leading to the school in the hallway of the school, and usually people they finish dropping off their kids by around like 8:30 or so. Mm-hmm. So it's about 9:15 at this point, give or take. I was a little rusty about this, so we were about to do our first morning routine type things, and then we heard the doorbell, or not the doorbell, the door handle start to shake a bit. And we were like, oh, is someone trying to open the door? So we waited a little bit, see if anyone would come in, and it started shaking again. So I ran over to open it up, and when I did, there was nobody on the other side. And we were just like, that's really weird. So, and it's a fairly long hallway as well. Like, you would have to book it to not be able to be seen on either side.
And there's not really anywhere you could hide or anything.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't really like you could hear someone still running. Like, it was echoey.
Right.
Just nothing at all. So
that's crazy.
I walked up and down the hall a little bit as well, see if anyone was there. Didn't really have anything. Then I went over. I went to the principal, like the office area, and I'm like, oh, did anyone come by this way? And she was like, nope, there's nobody here. Nobody came by. Last time we saw anyone was like around 8 o'clock.
Oh man!
I mean, most of the lights were kind of off as well. It was still fairly dimly lit, so it was just kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it's a little eerie.
And another thing that was really kind of weird too was we were in the gym area, and the gym actually connects right next to the kitchen that we use to make the school hot lunch program. And one of my coworkers was just like, it feels really hot around this door. The door leading into the hot lunch program. I'm like, well, what's going on with that? It's really bizarre. So we had to use our keys. We went in there, and the oven was on. It was one of those things too where there's no reason for it to be on because nobody was using it for like at least a weekend. Like no one was there for the weekend, and it wasn't hot enough that it would have like burnt the place down.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of bizarre. We're like, okay, someone's messing with us. What's going on here?
Yeah, for sure. But you said you had to use your keys to get into that?
Yeah, we had to use our keys, and there's only a certain amount of keys that are like given to staff as well.
Wow.
So each teacher has a key, and then the custodial staff has their key, and then the administrative, so like the principal and the secretary and stuff. But again, only the principal was in there, and there was like 2 keys between the 5 of us staff.
Weird, man.
So the really weird thing too, kind of going with that, I'm probably just putting 2 and 2 together to make 12. But that's what we're talking about, ghosts and things.
Yeah, you gotta make a bit of a leap.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that school burnt down in the 90s, or at least a portion of the school burnt down, and they actually had to rebuild it, and they rebuilt a brand new area, and I believe the area that we were in actually was affected by the fire itself. So as far as I know, no one was caught in the blaze.
Right.
But at the same time, it's kind of hard to find stuff like that.
Yeah, that is weird.
I did look this up, and there was a story about the fire in the school, but wouldn't really go into detail about anything. Didn't say if it was an arson, didn't say if it was just an accident, but just those 2 really weird things are kind of...
Yeah, it's weird. They usually tend to gloss over details like that.
Yeah.
And fires, like, you don't really... I don't know, it's more like you don't really need to know, right? Unless it is something like outwardly suspicious. A lot of the time they won't say like, oh, some guy came and burned this place down, or...
Yeah, exactly.
The electricals freaked out and the whole place went up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So that was
it's hard to get a lot of info out of those things.
Yeah, that night was just that long hallway was just kind of generally
a little spooky,
kind of owners shutting down the school at night and stuff like that. I'd love to go speak to some of the night crew as well.
Oh yeah,
but they would always be off by the time we'd come in. So
yeah.
I've got a couple other places that I worked at that are actually
that's some pretty cool stories.
Well-known haunted places, but I'll go into that a little bit later.
Yeah, that for sure. Yeah. Some awesome stories.
Yeah.
Vancouver's got some really good haunted spots.
Yeah.
Like when I first, I guess not when I first moved here, but when I started getting really interested in the paranormal when I was a little younger, I didn't really think to look close to here because I always thought, all the really good haunted spots are like in London when they have castles and stuff that people can get pushed off of, or like America where they have horrible history like the slave trade or anything like that, or the Civil War sites that always have ghosts and crap in them. But if you look into it, Vancouver actually has a lot of really crazy
and the surrounding areas as well. About hour and a half, 2 hours drive, there's a small town called Mission. And it was actually the name of the town / city is named that because it was a missionary.
It was like a
camp?
Commune.
Yeah, there was a commune up there. I believe there's still a commune, a convent up there too.
Yeah.
But there is a park that is the it's the ruins of an old residential school.
Yeah.
And I think it's called Heritage Park, but like the foundation is still there, and it's just there's some parts that you get like portions of staircases.
Yeah.
And for those of you who know as well, some pretty awful things happen in residential schools. They basically took the native population and forced them to convert to Christianity at the time. And
it was not it was not pretty.
No. So just that whole area has kind of a weird vibe to it as well.
Yeah. Pretty nasty history.
Yeah, and then even like in Burnaby as well, there's an entire area. It was just kind of built up, like the first people well, not first people here, that's stupid. Well, it was kind of like the first settlers here that were just starting to build up houses and stuff, made huge mansions out in Burnaby by Deer Lake Park.
Yeah. That's...
The old Heritage Village Museum is there, where they... some of the houses were built there, but then they started shipping in other old houses to make it like a little... Actually, that's another thing I noticed too, looking up a few things. The people from even like 30 to 50 years back in Vancouver just did not give any shits about letting anything rest, like using gravestones to pave woodlands.
Yeah. There's like their patio area they used, the headstones.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, pretty sick.
Which we'll get into in our Asylums episode. Which is interesting.
More of the horrible past of the GVRD.
Yeah, exactly. As well as a couple other places too. We're not just going to focus only on Vancouver, but we could if we really wanted to.
There's enough. Yeah. It's always good to start local.
Yeah, exactly. Starting local just to get our bearings, and then I'm sure if people from wherever hear this as well give us their stories too, we can expand on a few places.
Yeah. I'd love to hear some stories from like anywhere else, really.
Yeah, I heard a couple really neat ones from El Salvador actually.
Really?
Yesterday.
Oh wow!
When I was there's a few podcasts that I listen to, and a few paranormal ones I listen to, and probably put links into that on the show notes.
Yeah, that's
like, if you want to check out some other stuff kind of along the same vein, check these guys out.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, this one show has a few people that call in and actually tell their stories and stuff, and there's some interesting ones from El Salvador.
Nice.
So, ghosts are everywhere. Actually, that's the neat thing as well. Like, there's lots of ghost sightings like everywhere and anywhere, and it's not just
every culture has their own like look at ghosts and stuff.
Exactly, which could be also just the largest case of mass hysteria, which will be kind of neat.
Yeah,
the human brain's a weird fucking machine.
Yeah. There's the I guess we'll get into it when you tell that other story that you heard last night.
Yeah.
That one. That's really cool.
So hopefully, Sean will be cool with me telling his story. So
thanks, Sean.
Just so you know, this is 5 hours ago from when we're recording.
Holy crap!
So this is like fresh stuff.
Hot off the presses.
So just so you know, tossing and turning in my bed, lying there. What do I look up and see? A small demon/ghost child thing looking down at me, and it licks its lips. Best description I can manage in brackets, and fades away. Not sleeping ever again. So again, this is one of those like this is a post on Facebook like just I just saw this thing. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
He hasn't actually posted anything else paranormal before, so it gives me a good reason to be like, okay, all right, this seems like something kind of neat.
Something,
he then follows up by saying, the sound it made was like Hannibal from the movie Silence of the Lambs. Ugh. So kind of like a
that creepy
fava beans. I yelled out loud, the neighborhood must have heard. So that's when I got the tag saying, Tony, check this out. So,
that's crazy.
That's kind of cool. Another thing that was mentioned by someone else in the same thread, though, kind of came at it from a scientific approach, and I'll read out what he said. He said, that's very common in children, but fairly rare in adults. It's basically a disturbance in the temporal lobe, which creates a malevolent sense of presence, which the brain then rationalizes as a literal observable figure, or the immediate memory of one. They usually manifest as deformed, childlike, or homunculus-like creatures. So it's kind of interesting, because a lot of kids do have experiences.
Yeah. People always say that children are more prone to seeing things or experiencing the paranormal of some kind.
So I mean, it's one of those things too, where it's like I had a couple things happen when I was younger as well. I still remember them, but it's one of those things that I don't know if it's something that I saw and then my older Tony brain took facts that I heard and then kind of
pieced it
together with that
retroactively.
Yeah. So it's one of those weird things where unless you're just documenting everything, it always helps to get that second opinion, kind of like what in the story you had, Terry, where there were two of them that would see the exact same.
Yeah, it's always good to have someone sort of back you up a bit.
Yeah,
so for sure.
It's always a little bit easier that way.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. That's the bit about the temporal lobe, because it's kind of weird how, I don't know. It's just interesting to know that like a disturbance in the temporal lobe would manifest a figure in front of you. Like that's really weird that your brain would just like something would happen to it, and your brain would just like go, "Oh, here's a demon kid."
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a really weird, like something that.
And the fact that there was like an audio disturbance as well, like he heard it do the type noise. It was just kind of like, usually with things like that, you see things and you're like, oh, that's fucked up. But it seems very rare that you'd get like both like visual and audio. Or something like that. Yeah. So I mean, it could go either way. It's a real interesting story, and I really hope to hear more.
That is awesome
from Sean, because
sincerely freaky.
Yeah,
and the fact that it made him like actually scream really loud too. That's because like you'd think if he was quiet about it, like if he just kind of like stared at it in terror or something, you'd think that it could have just been like something if he was asleep. Or
sleep paralysis is another thing that's very common as well.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a full episode actually just of sleep paralysis.
Totally have those, yeah.
So
yeah.
Got a lot of stories about that. Not just personal ones, but ones that we've been.
My brother's got a couple too.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be willing to share.
So, and I'd like to go into the whole medical, see if there's any studies that were taken about that. Another great thing would be is like someone who has these conditions, just kind of let's put them in an MRI for a little bit, just for a night, see what happens. If they glow afterward, I guess would be another concern. So other cool little ghost things as well about Vancouver specifically is our Gastown area is fairly well known.
It's a pretty active area, all things ghosty.
Yeah, fun thing I learned, there is an alley named Blood Alley, and there was lots of, the reasons why they called it that was it's where a lot of murders would take place, and
there's a lot of butcher shops and stuff that would dump all their waste out in the valley at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So mobsters would take people out and knife them and stuff so that the blood wouldn't be discernible.
Yeah.
Apparently. That was the tale.
That was the tale. Turns out it was actually renamed Blood Alley in, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s. Kind of as a tourism type trap. To jump in on that.
Way to have a really cool murdery thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little tourist draw for.
So that's like that kind of a fun little thing we learned, because we were like, thanks to Devin for doing a little bit of research for us. She found out that little fact.
That's awesome,
kind of cool. But that being said, Gastown, I think it's one of the oldest communities in Vancouver.
It is, I think it was one of the first settled areas, I think.
Yeah.
Or one of the,
it's right by, it's Water Street. That doesn't really help topography-wise, but it's right on the ocean.
Yeah, the bay,
Yeah, so if there's a couple old train stations.
The train station, I think. There's the it's supposed to be the ghost of that guy who one of the train workers or whatever back in like the early times. He was on his way at the end of the day. He was leaving the tunnels or whatever, and he fell and broke his neck. And a train went over him and cut his head off. And so every now and then,
few people have actually claimed to have seen
a headless ghost.
Walking through the tunnels, basically.
And apparently he carries a lantern too. So you can actually see a light down there. Which is
kind of interesting. Another train-related ghost actually has been seen in the old spaghetti factory. Which is another cool one. There's a chain of restaurants. I want to say they're kind of like a wannabe high class. They're kind of like the Canadian version of the Olive Garden. Let's be serious.
Pretty much.
But their theme is oldie time, eh? the menus have like woodcuts of penny farthings on them, and
Yeah.
bowler and or top hats.
Yeah, it's all like train cars and automobiles. And,
Yeah, exactly. It's that being said, too, it's great. You can just eat all the bread.
Oh yeah, they give you like non-stop bread.
Yeah, it's.
And for some reason, 2 choices of butter, even though you only really use the garlic
Yeah,
butter.
the garlic butter is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're trying to kid with the plain butter shit.
Yeah.
You're just wasting resources at that point. You just put some garlic in that.
Yeah, make it good butter. Then.
Yeah, like, just, come on.
Yeah. But you can get like a pretty good meal there. Like
Yeah.
you get soup, pasta, and ice cream for like one price.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Oh, and then a coffee and or tea to end your night. Which
Yeah,
is
that's
my,
right. Yeah.
my thing. I just will not leave until I get my tea to go. I feel like we're a food review typecast now, but no, it's clearly like bagged frozen pasta stuff. But you know,
it's not great, eh? But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do an episode where we ghost hunt in there as an excuse to just go eat food.
Baked spaghetti.
Oh, we did that once. We're like, let's go to the spaghetti factory and see if there's ghosts. But
We just got lots of beer and
exactly.
and that's all it was. It was just an excuse to like
Yeah, exactly. So I
drunk
think
and
we'll. Luckily, though, we also have a haunted keg in New West, so
somewhere else to.
or we'll have to be intrepid.
Yeah. The ghost at the spaghetti factory, because the one in Gastown actually has a train car in it, like an old trolley car.
Yeah, it was actually used on our streets, actually.
Yeah, it was one that was actually like decommissioned and then put inside the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, like night staff, many times have actually said that they'll set the table a certain way at the end of the night, and then they'll come back in the mornings, or even like sometimes like a little bit later, and everything will be set in a different way.
Yeah.
Like all the cutlery will be moved around and all this kind of stuff. And I think even in the restaurant itself, I've heard people say it, but I haven't actually seen it. But there's a picture of the trolley itself, and in the picture you can see there's someone in there, who wasn't there when the picture was taken. Apparently,
yeah, that's true. I've actually heard.
Never seen the damn picture.
Yeah, that was one of the main things we were looking for. But I don't know, there's probably like a family of 12 in the same area,
and they're 3 babies,
just throwing spaghetti all over the place, just ruining
marinara everywhere.
I don't even know why they just want butter and cheese on their pasta. Don't waste spaghetti sauce. Anyway, children are interesting.
Yeah.
Also, that building was around for quite a while too.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a quick look and see.
For sure, yeah.
What it was used as beforehand.
Abattoir.
Oh, a brothel. No, I'm sorry.
But no, there's some pretty cool stories about Gastown.
Yeah.
Actually, there's the morgue, or not the
Was it
morgue,
the
but there was
morgue?
the first morgue. Actor, oh god, what's his name? Errol Flynn, the guy who was like the original like Robin Hood and all that kind of stuff. He actually died in Vancouver.
Really?
Yep. He lived like a celebrity. Like he was drinking all the time. Apparently did like some pretty nasty substances every now and then. But he was at a party with a girl who was apparently 16, and she was wearing some pretty expensive jewelry when she was with him. But she was at this house party, and Errol Flynn was feeling really, really unwell. But he was a friend of the guy who was hosting the party. And so the guy came in, and like Errol Flynn was resting in a room, and he came out and said, "Oh, there's a lot of people here who really want to see you. So I know you're feeling pretty lousy, but would you mind coming just to make an appearance?" So he came out, and he was like really fun. He was like being an awesome guy and all this kind of stuff. And then he just dropped, and so they took him to the hospital, and he was apparently dead when he got there. And I think I can't remember how old he was when he died, but they cut him open and they said he was like a 90-year-old man on the inside.
Oh,
Jesus. What he'd done to his body.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so if you actually go to that place. It's like the police museum or something like that down in Gastown. There's like a room where they'll like show you how they did autopsies and blah 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 blah. And there's a big photo of Errol Flynn on the wall.
Oh wow!
And they'll eventually tell you, oh yeah, that's because we cut him open.
always on
Also, I just found out what the old spaghetti factory was beforehand. So it was actually the location of what was once the W.H. Malkin Company headquarters, and that was a grocery wholesaler.
Oh,
so
cool.
That explains why it's so huge and open, and
yeah, it looks like almost like it would have been
like a factory.
Yeah,
I guess not where spaghetti comes from. Well, I mean, consider as a grocery wholesaler, you might have been able to get spaghetti from that factory.
Probably.
So that's it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out. Go get full for less than $20 on bread.
If you can handle a family of 12 whipping spaghetti.
Oh yeah. Well, luckily they've got pretty decent drink specials.
So that was totally worth checking out.
Yeah, no, it's good times. It's good times.
Yeah, there's the Keg in New West. It's got a pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was also a train station, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and apparently there was a fire and the whole place burned down at one point. Back when it wasn't the Keg, obviously. Mm-hmm. And there was a family that lived upstairs. And
it was in secret, wasn't it?
Yeah. They weren't actually apparently supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But they lived up there, and when the fire happened, the family was up there, and they weren't able to get out. And so there's a place upstairs in the attic, I guess, of the place where the family stayed, and where the fire happened, where I guess the family huddled together, and there is like apparently a big charred spot on the floor and the walls that doesn't come clean.
Ooh.
When you try to wash it. So that's pretty interesting.
Yikes-a-rooney. Yeah, let's see if we can find some pictures of that and put it up on.
Yeah, actually, I'll see if I can
online. That'd be great.
Track those down right now.
Neat, cool. All right, well, gone from Vancouver to New West. So in between there, let's go back to Burnaby again.
Yeah,
and so in Burnaby, there is the Heritage Village Museum, kind of built on that settlement that we talked about earlier. One of the areas that's being used is actually an art center. And there's the new art center, which is kind of smack dab in the middle. But surrounding it are 3 heritage houses.
Right.
And they're honestly just heritage mansions. So the most famous one, or infamous one, is actually the Sepperly House. And the story behind that one is that there was the haunted doll. It doesn't know. There were no dolls there.
We could definitely make a whole episode out of haunted dolls.
Oh God, yeah,
There's so many.
Why? Why do people have to porcelain doll?
I know. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, the Faircrest House. So yeah, also known as Sepperly Home, but it's actually an art gallery now. So this is a neat little thing for us as well, or for me particularly, because I actually used to work for the Shadbolt Art Center, and I was technically an employee of the city of Burnaby. So we actually could get into certain areas like the attics or the basements.
It's basically where all the ghosts are.
Which if we've learned anything, those are ghost houses. That's where they live.
Yeah.
Other than in the background of Mario games.
Which we will totally get to.
Oh yeah, I'm stoked for that. Yeah, so the home was built between 1909 and completed around 1911, 1912. So there's the 2 of them that lived there, Miss Sepperly and her husband. And what happened was Miss Sepperly actually passed away. And one of the things that she mentioned in her will was that she actually wanted, like, most of it, if not all of it, to go to build a children's playground, I believe in Central Park. So I don't know if it's there anymore, but before there was a park in Central Park that was a little playground. And I believe that actually had the placard. Like, oh no, sorry, I'm an idiot. It's actually downtown.
Oh, okay.
It's on the Second Beach, I believe.
Oh.
There's a small little playground area that was actually built for her.
Let's see if we can go find that.
Yeah, it's
really cool.
It's kind of neat, actually.
Yeah.
But before that happened, the husband just pissed away the funds. Like, he did not fulfill her wishes at all, and it was just. And then apparently that was kind of the first time that she started becoming an apparition. Just really grumpy about her husband just pissing away this fortune. Also, that being said too, she was very much into like the welfare of children and loved kids and everything.
He gave 0 fucks about kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they probably went to the spaghetti factory. It was
Wound up having to spend a lot of money on alcohol to drown those little bastards out.
But anyway, that being said, the Burnaby Village. I keep saying Burnaby Village. That's not right. The Deer Lake. I'm going to say the Deer Lake area had a very sordid past. So a few things that happened was all the houses in the area were bought by Benedictine monks in 1939, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was only designated as a heritage home 1992. So that's over 20 years ago. But that being said, too, it's still fairly new that it was a heritage home.
Yeah.
So that being said, a lot of people that were working there said to have actually seen Miss Sepperly herself walking around kind of through the halls and everything.
Really?
Didn't really have anything like that happen to us. A lot of things too, a lot of the people that worked there, not everyone would really talk about things either.
Oh, really?
There were a lot of people that were clearly just like, I don't want to bring this back up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard finding like certain eyewitness events. There are a few coworkers of mine I've been trying to get back in contact with to get their sides of the story. She'll jump into Mather House, actually. This is the house that I primarily worked in. And we had a couple instances. We used to run summer camps, like art summer camps and stuff like that. And a few of the kids actually had run-ins with a certain kid that we named Julia. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So one of the things that happened is we actually had one of the first kind of weird things was we had our main area in the newer building and everything, but we would actually have studios in these houses. So mostly in Mather House was the main studios, and it actually is still. One of the things I was taking a group of the kids to their class, and it was the first time. It was the Monday, whole new group of kids, and there was a boy who was like a high-functioning autistic child. We go through the doors, and the first thing he does, he looks around and he goes, "People died in here." Just right out, like, people died in here. Like, I still remember those words exactly.
Oh, man.
Because we were just like, we knew a little bit about what happened beforehand, and just kind of the history of the houses. And I'm like, oh, why do you say that? And he's like, they're in here.
Oh, Jesus.
There's dead people in here.
Oh.
So like, oh, that's great.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's spooky.
Thing that goes along with that is
kids are scary.
Yeah. Another girl who was around 12 at the time. There's an area where we would actually put like their art pieces to dry and stuff. And what happened was she went to go pick hers up at the end of the day. She came back out to us, and she was shaking. She like actually freshly wet herself.
Oh,
this is like a 12-year-old as well. This isn't like
like I'm not like a 5-year-old kid or anything.
Yeah, like they weren't just holding her or anything, and we're like, "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" And she's like, she kept saying like, Julia, it's Julia's. It's hers now. She needs, like, this is hers." Like, what are you talking about? Apparently, she saw, like, once she calmed down and everything, she saw a girl in a white dress holding her like sculpture piece and playing with it. We're just like, what? That's really bizarre. And she said her name was Julia, and we checked our our entire camp records and see, okay, Julia, who's Julia? It was actually just us in that area as well. It was the end of the day. Everyone was cleared out. It was us and the instructors and like the kids that were picking up their things, and this was one of the last kids to grab her piece.
Right.
Checked and there was nobody registered within those weeks with the name Julia. We saw nobody that matched. Like that, it was summertime, right? Like kids nowadays, and even back then would just wear shorts and
you're not gonna wear a dress or anything.
Yeah, so it was just kind of bizarre.
That is.
So we just. She kept saying that her name was Julia. Another thing that goes in with this is I still worked there for quite a while, and one of the painting instructors quite a while beforehand, she, in the area where we do a lot of the painting and stuff like that, she was putting away her supplies and everything. This actually happened to a few teachers there in the same room. She was putting away her supplies for the day and everything, and then she kind of caught out the corner of her eyes that there was a girl standing kind of in a doorway. And she turned around and she was like, "Oh, do you need any help?" And the girl just stood there. Then she started to realize, like, wait a minute, this isn't really... And the second she kind of came to terms with it, gone.
Oh, man.
So she painted the girl that she saw.
Yeah.
And...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I'm going to try to find that painting describes... Like, it looks exactly like what this girl saw.
Oh, really?
A girl in a white dress. And just, like...
Oh, man.
Like, in the same rooms, basically.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, another thing, too, is we'd always hear running through the halls.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when no one else was around. Apparently there were a couple children in the Mather house that have died there. And this will actually be covered in another episode. Aside from the Benedictine monks that lived in these houses, there was actually a cult that owned the surrounding houses. And there's some pretty uncomfortable stories for that. So we'll actually probably even have a trigger warning for that episode. Like, there's stuff that, like, I'm even uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think everybody telling me some of that stuff. Like, those are messed up.
Yeah, so, Sepperly House actually was, back to Sepperly House, the head of that cult actually lived in that house too. So, that probably seriously pissed off
the mom,
Madam Sepperly.
Yeah.
There's another house called Anderson House, and that belonged to the Anderson family there too. And a lot of people here walking up and down the staircase towards the attic. There's another thing too. Found a blogspot post. We were talking about the Mather house. I'll just give you a couple little things. Yeah, built in 1912. Same Benedictine monks that owned all of the things. But in this blog post, I know that there is a girl who said, "I went to an art school at Shabelle until I was 17. Most of my classes were in Mather house. Some friends from my class and I were let into the uppermost level, which we thought was an attic, but was actually a series of extremely small rooms. Led me to believe that they were maids' chambers. A door which I assumed was a closet was actually a door to the staircase. The rooms were, in 2004, used for storage for the original furniture and belongings of the home. I remember distinctly of a chaise lounge, an icebox, lots of toys including a teddy bear. The newspaper used to wrap the belongings was dated 1927, and we also climbed to the top of the tower. The tower was empty."
Oh, man.
I think I might know this girl because that was around the time that we actually got access into the upstairs area, and I believe we were the last group to ever be allowed up there because it's an old ass house. It's an old ass house, so it's
fall apart.
Yeah, fairly dilapidated. There's weird things up there too, like shadows in the corner of the eyes. There's actually in one of those maids' chambers. There were these three rooms, and this one room had a baby carriage and like one of those rocking horse things. And it's just one, like, I stepped into that room and I saw a shadow actually in the baby carriage, and I was like,
Really?
Yeah, that was it for me. I'm like, nope, so much nope, none of this again.
Pieced out pretty fast.
Yeah, I think that was kind of it for me.
Yep.
So I actually want to get in contact with this girl, see if she actually was in that same group, because we all went up. There was at least a good 6 or 7 of us.
Really?
So
Cool.
I checked out her blog spot. She doesn't look super familiar, but I'll drop her a line and say I'm doing this. Maybe get a little excerpt from her.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that might have been around the same time as
What do you guys see?
as when I got to go up there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, back to Anderson House. That's actually the main administrative area now. Or at least it was at the time. The attic was mostly used for storage. But another thing that's not mentioned in anything else that I can find is one of the Andersons' children hung himself in the attic. Which would explain, all the activity up there.
Yeah.
Also, we had major camera problems when we were going up to that attic. We had one of those SLR analog cameras, so it was like a film camera, but it had digital components,
Right.
and we just could not take pictures up there. Our film camera, the batteries died only when we were in the attic, and they worked fine when we left. They worked fine when we came up.
Yeah.
It was just
That's
weird
something I've
things
always
like
thought
that.
was really weird, is when a battery will crap out and show that it's dead,
Yeah,
and then go back to having full charge.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure someone who knows more about electronics than I do could probably explain how.
And if you do, please let us know.
Yeah, I've always wanted to know how that happens, because
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems so weird that something could be so dead to the point that it won't even turn on.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you leave an area that has reports of being haunted or something like that, and then you leave that area and the battery just goes.
Yeah, exactly.
It just seems a little effed up, and I'd like to know if that's something that can occur.
Yeah, if it's magnetic fields, solid, let us know.
Yeah. Or if it's old buildings with old electric stuff, maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea how any of that works. So it's
Cool.
it's like magnets.
How do they work? Yes, we got about 10 minutes left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. So want to talk about video games?
Yeah, let's jump into the video games and stuff. There's
Yeah.
a few series that are clearly about ghosts. Agnes, the Fatal Frame series is one. You basically play as a little Japanese girl. In pretty much all of the games, actually.
Pretty much, yeah. If you do play a guy, it's for 5 minutes and he dies. So,
Yeah.
yeah, those are really fun. Really eerie games, too, because your only defense is a camera.
Yeah, exactly. And the second one was honestly my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Just
that one was awesome.
visually, you end up in this abandoned town with ghosts everywhere, and you're trying to find your twin sister. And all the houses look the same. Everything's dark. Things are coming at you. People are walking backwards with their heads dangling. It's just super uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's eerie as hell. But then there's other games that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Ones that are a little more aimed at kids, or that just don't really seem to have that kind of paranormal bent.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's something in there, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
There's that. There's an area in the game where you can go to this cliff that's overlooking a lighthouse. If you go there at between 11 p.m. and 12 a.m., you need to use a sniper rifle or something, but you can zoom in on this area just on these cliffs. And there's what is very obviously a ghostly looking lady. She's kind of ring looking.
Yeah, she doesn't have legs.
Warped face, and her hair is all frizzy and creepy. And then you go up there, and she disappears. But there's also this stain of blood on the rocks that says Jock, apparently.
Yeah.
And it's the name of the mayor or whatever. And he's reported to have killed his wife.
Yeah, and there's all the news stories that go in with that too. In the game,
you can actually read articles about it and stuff, which is kind of cool. It's a really, really neat little, very odd Easter egg to put in there, but. I mean, I guess that game did cost several $1 million to make. So.
Just imagine the people that find it first. They're just what the fuck was that?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I would have like shat myself.
Because does the game progress? That was my phone. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Does the game progress in real time as well? Like if it's 11:58 in real, is that?
No, I don't.
So.
No, I don't think it does.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think it does. I don't know because I play it online mostly.
Okay.
And like I think it cycles through day and night pretty quick. I think.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's. If it is in like game time, it's probably only for like a couple minutes at a time.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty damn cool.
Neato.
Yeah.
Cool. There's a couple things in the Super Mario franchise actually. Two that I've found. I'm just gonna go back to this one's pretty fairly well known by everybody. It's called the Hell Valley Sky Tree.
Yeah.
So this is an image that appears in the the missions of the Prince Picante's Peppery Mood and the Octo Army Icy Rainbow Romp. Yeah. Super serious, super spooky.
Not anywhere you'd ever expect to find a Hell Valley Sky
Yeah, that
Tree.
being said too, it's like these there's no actual Hell Valley level in this.
No.
This is actually
anywhere in Mario canon.
Yeah, it's part of the in-game coding is where they found the names of these files and graphics.
Yeah.
So I believe they're part of the background texture. Therefore, on the file name of the graphics are called Beyond Hell Valley is the actual the landscape.
Oh yeah, the background.
And then the figures themselves are called the Hell Valley Sky Tree.
Yeah, and they don't look anything like trees.
No, they really don't.
They're very clearly little, creature-looking things with like arms and eyes and stuff.
Yeah, they're clearly like humanoid-looking creatures, but like lumps of them.
Yeah.
There's no distinct. Well, there's eyes, arms, and like a torso, but there's no like clear head. It's like the eyes come out of the shoulders, like super spindly long arms.
Yeah. Almost like the Redeads in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. So which kind of goes hand in hand with the Nintendo thing.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing as well in Mario that's kind of interesting is is Super Mario 3D. There is, I believe it's World 4, Level 4. It's the haunted house area.
Yeah.
So there's lots of like boos that come after you and everything, and like King Boo and stuff like that.
All pretty cutesy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like things that you normally see. After you get to the area with the flagpole, it's the top right-hand corner of the screen. If you kind of hang out there for a bit and like stare in a corner, an image kind of fades in and then fades out. And I'm actually looking at a picture of it right now. It's like a ghostly image, and it's kind of got a similar face to the Hell Valley Sky Trees.
Yeah.
But it actually looks a little bit more like what you were saying earlier, one of the Shy Guys from Mario 2.
Yeah,
NES
it's got like a
ones.
Shy Guy mask almost.
So he's just there for a few seconds, and then he like fades back out. It's nothing quick. It's pretty slow. Comes in, comes out. But if you're not looking directly for it,
yeah,
then
it's pretty
you skip it.
Kind of translucent looking. Like you have to be really paying attention, I think.
Yeah. So one of the rumors for these is just because of the way that they look and just the positions of where they are. There's rumors that they are actually kodama. So it's a Japanese tree spirit, almost kind of like a dryad. And there's certain trees actually in Japan that have these holy ropes tied around them, said to be like the houses of these spirits. So
this is really cool.
That being said, the whole Hell Valley Sky Tree, that definitely works for these spooky little nods. Like it's a predominantly Japanese mythology.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat that they'd throw that in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool that they'd have that. I don't know, weird nods to certain things.
Yeah.
They're always making really weird references to like their own culture.
yeah, exactly. Just in everything.
Yeah.
I think the last little ghost related video game thing on mine is actually going to be in the Pokemon games.
Oh yeah.
So the last two generations, starting in Black and White, and starting in Black and White, there is a city. It's basically like New York in the game. there's a bridge that goes over it, and apparently there is a character that she only appears certain times, and then she talks about I can't remember the exact. Man, this is a stupid thing. It's the other podcast book. I was like, yeah, I heard about this thing, but I forgot. She says words and it's spooky. But then also in the games before that, in Generation 4, the Diamond and Pearl games, there is a house that you can get to, and there's a Pokemon in there called Rotom, and it's a ghost electric. But before that, there's like a sprite of a girl that appears in certain rooms, and then when you get to there, she's gone, but then she'll be in another area and stuff.
That's pretty cool.
It's kind of, they've been kind of doing this ghost thing for a while, like even in the original Pokemon games.
Yeah.
There's a ghost of a Marowak that's been murdered by the team. And like this is
Team Rocket.
They say it as well. Yeah, it was murdered by Team Rocket, and it's blocking the way, and you have to use this scope to see it, and then you can get up there and avenge its death and stuff by re-killing it, I guess.
Just put it back to sleep, kind of.
Just shh. It's okay. You close its eyes with your palm. But yeah, so like the ghost thing's been around for quite a while in the Pokemon games. But more recently, she also appears in X and Y. There's a apartment or a building that you go into, and the game freezes. And then you see a girl. She doesn't have the usual walking animations. She kind of floats in and says, "This isn't the one," and then it disappears, and then that's kind of like all you really see for a while. That same sprite apparently happens again in the brand new games, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. That's clearly like a thing that's put into this game. But what I really wanted to talk about was in the Elite Four, there is a trainer that uses primarily ghost types. And these are little split-second things. In between animations, before the fight, you see a sprite of a girl kind of just off in the distance, and it's like half a second. It flashes in and out. It happens in a couple different scenes. So it's not just a weird game glitch and everything.
It seems intended,
Yeah, so that's kind of a neat thing.
And then I think there's another cut, like a joining part to that cut scene where like it shows you talking to the person who you were talking to before, and the camera kind of comes up to you, but the way it moves, it's like someone walking.
Oh,
and it's from the vantage point of who would have been in that spot. So it's kind of cool.
It's a little spooky.
Yeah.
I actually try to get a recording of that video myself, so I've got
that'd be cool. Yeah.
Something to throw up on our upcoming YouTube channel.
I've got one last bit about World of Warcraft.
Cool.
Because I play that game a little too much. But yeah, there's a couple things that are really neat. Specifically ghost things, because there's like lots of other Easter eggs in that game that are more like demon related, and I guess more like just spooky in general. Mm-hmm. But specifically to do with ghosts, there's the undead characters get to start in a city called Undercity. And that place was where the original character of the Lich King came when he came home after becoming like a Death Knight. He comes home and murders his father, and then kills everyone in the city. And if you turn all of your other sound bars down except the ambient volume, and you walk down this hallway where he walked when his people were welcoming him home, as you walk down there, you can hear like the bells like chiming and people cheering and stuff. And then you walk into what was his father's throne room, and as you walk in, you actually start to hear little sound clips from that, of like the father saying, "What are you doing, my son?" and all that. And then you can hear him say, "Succeeding you, father," and then like it just cuts out and it gets like dead quiet.
Oh,
it's really spooky.
That's
yeah. And then for the longest time, there was a quest that you could get if you were a mage, where you'd have to go like exorcise ghosts or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'd use this item that would let you see them. But warlocks in the game actually used to have a spell called See Invisible, like they're detecting visibility. Mm-hmm. So if you actually cast that on yourself in that area, in like this courtyard, you could just see the ghosts, and then be like these ghosts just roaming around and stuff.
Oh shit!
They were just always there, which was really creepy.
Oh man! So like no matter what, they'll be hanging out in that courtyard.
Yeah, they're just there all the time.
Wow.
So it was really fun because every now and then, like, not a lot of people used to know about it.
Yeah.
And I had a warlock, so every now and then someone would be running through there, and I'd cast it on them.
Yeah.
And then every now and then you'd see people stop, and the characters look around, like, what's happening? All of a sudden. Yeah, it was
Then
really
suddenly a ghost popped out.
Yeah. But like everything that's really fun that Warlock could do, Blizzard took it away. Anyway, yeah, no. Yeah, I just thought that was really, really neat.
Cool.
Some cool ghosty bits.
We are just over an hour now, and what with all the cuts that we're going to be doing and adding in our little bits and pieces.
Intro and outro artistically crafted by our Cal Edison.
Yeah, this would be awesome. We
I can't wait.
I'm so stoked. They're great.
They're so good.
Like,
So eager.
yeah. If you have any questions or just want to say anything to me or Terry,
Yeah, if you have any tales of your own, we'd love to hear those.
yeah. So once again on Facebook, Guttural Frequency. Check us out, like us, share us, tell all your friends. Yeah, so that's it for episode 1. Thank you so much again for listening, and
Spooky.